Hello and good morning from Denver. This is Dennis Krieger, Director of Engineering for Switch Automation. Looks like we have quite a few attendees that have joined, so I think we're going to just jump right into this quick 1-hour webinar on how to leverage a smart building app really to improve the way that you manage and operate buildings. So before we jump into some demos and some stories, just a quick introduction on Switch Automation. Switch Automation is a smart building platform that is designed to help people manage and operate a portfolio of buildings. So we connect to existing and new buildings, and we help people deploy analytics and give you a kind of unified user interface to see what's going on across your building portfolio. So today we're going to take a look at some of the tools both in the Switch Automation platform and also on the mobile app that allow a building support team to work closely with facility technicians on day-to-day building issues. So the key theme that we're going to try to address in the webinar is this idea of transitioning from what you see here, which is kind of a reactive maintenance mode where building technicians really rely on humans to be their sensors, their complaints. So we have tenants in the buildings that are experiencing bad issues in the building. They are complaining, and a facility technician is responding to those complaints really before they've had a chance to look at that equipment and avoid that complaint to begin with. So this is really a standard practice still in a lot of buildings, and it's causing a lot of issues when you're operating buildings. It's making your tenants unhappy, it's wasting energy, whatever your business values are, this is going to negatively impact those. So what we are trying to transition to is this idea of proactive maintenance really driven by a smart building platform. So today we're going to try to focus in on a story like you see here, where we create a new capability in the buildings with a smart building platform, and we enable a support team to work with facility managers to interact with this really rich data that we can pull out of buildings to help identify issues in this building before we get to the point where tenants are upset. And that's really the definition of proactive maintenance. How can we go from a human-driven reactive mode to a data-driven proactive maintenance service driven by that smart building tool? So in today's webinar, we're gonna put on a couple different hats. We're gonna start with this idea of a support team and show you some tools that a smart building platform can provide. And again, this support team can be in the building, but they can also be working remotely and managing potentially hundreds of buildings from a single platform. So I'll transition over now to the Switch Automation platform and show you what some of these tools look like in real life. So we're going to start out this little example here with a smaller building portfolio. We have 4 dots on that map. Each of those represent a building location. And as a building support team member, I'm logging into my smart building platform here, and right off the bat, I notice that we have an issue here in Denver where I have a big red dot. So a smart building platform can convert tens of thousands of sensors data into leading indicators or performance metrics that you want to pay attention to. In this case, in my Denver location, I can see that my energy performance is doing okay, got a score of 80 there. But I definitely have some issues on my comfort and my maintenance scores. So this is my prompt to action, right? I want to proactively address this drop in performance and see what's causing my building to act up on especially the comfort score, where I might have tenants complaining if we don't address this issue right away. So staying in this one view, I can drill in to see what type of activities are causing this score to go down. So I can see I've got some critical alerts that are triggering. And as a building support team member, this is really important to me. I want to be able to go isolate what's going on with each of these critical alerts and work with my facility technicians to address these before we have those tenants complaining. So I'm going to move on to the next tool in my arsenal here and talk about the fault detection rules that I have running at this location. So fault detection and diagnostics is really an analytics tool that's running automatically in the building to summarize and prioritize these critical alerts into a view that I can interact with. So again, in my building support team role, I'm focused on the critical alerts in that Denver site. I want to hone in right in this top alert here. And now I've gone from really my summary view of the entire portfolio right down to the sensor data for this particular alert that's telling me the start really of a story of what's going on in this location. So I've got two sensors here that I'm looking at, in this case over a 24-hour period. And as a subject matter expert for buildings, I'm starting to understand what's causing this event to occur. I can see that my air handling unit here was triggered on in the morning. That's normal. But obviously in the afternoon, we had some issues. So my temperature coming off of this unit that's designed to cool the space started to warm early in the afternoon, and it escalated to a point where I'm now supplying air into the space, and it's likely going to cause a hot space temperature on any tenant zone that this unit is serving. So we're looking now proactively at this information, and we want to do something about this. This event, if it continues, will likely lead to lots of tenants complaining about their environment, and that is something we want to avoid as operators of this building. So this alert was a good leading indicator of what's going on, but I need to drill in more. I need to understand really what caused this supply temperature to increase. So I'm going to drill in more and interact with all of the sensor data I have available to me for this particular unit. So I'm now looking at these sensors in more detail. I can still see this high supply temperature, but maybe I want to interact with more pieces of that equipment. So I can bring in my fan speed, for example, and I can see that that is still running. This is still normal operation. So maybe the next step will be to bring in the chilled water valve. This is the piece of equipment that opens so that we can cool the spaces in the zones that we're serving. And now I can see that there's an issue on this unit. So again, I'm working on this remotely. I'm proactively identifying what the root cause is. And now we've gone from a really high level prompt to come investigate what's going on in our Denver site to a very detailed description of the zone and equipment and even the valve that is causing this issue to occur. So we've gone from a prompt, an alert notification, all the way in this case to the root cause of what's causing that to happen. So I'm still operating as this building support team. I've identified the root cause. Now the question is, what do I do about this? How can I act on this information? And the final tool in my arsenal to really support this is actual control. So in my smart building platform, I can actually interact with multiple systems in the building from a single control user interface. So in this view here, I can see when my Denver site is scheduled to operate. I can see what the lighting system is doing in that particular zone. And I can also see the issues here that are causing this AHU to supply hot air to the spaces. So I can't really fix this issue remotely, but one thing I can do is really hone in on this air handling unit and go ahead and command this unit to an off state. So what this is going to allow me to do is stop pushing that warm air into the zone and give my facility technicians some time to go address this issue locally at the site. So I've de-escalated really how critical this alert and this operation is to the building and allowed us to avoid making the tenants angry with warm air while my technician goes and deploys some work at the site. So we've done all of that directly in one smart building tool seamlessly. I've jumped from, again, that portfolio view all the way down to local control of the equipment. Now it's time to hand this off to my facility technician and help him or her engage with this equipment and really all this information that I've discovered through the support of this issue. And that's the final piece of the platform we'll look at before we transition to the mobile app. And that's really my summary of all the activities that have happened at this site. So the great thing about this smart building tool is that I've not only identified the root cause and acted upon it directly in the platform, but I've bundled all of that information into really a language that my facility technician is comfortable with. So I've assigned this to a facility technician. I've put a priority on it and a due date. I've taken some notes to help my facility technician go to that piece of equipment and do some work on it. And most importantly, I've actually gone through and uploaded all of that content from my smart building platform directly into this, into the event here for my technician to interact with. So now it's time to kind of change hats and talk about what the actual facility technician is going to see when they interact with this content on a mobile device. So the Switch app was just released actually a month ago now. So we've been using this actively on some of our accounts now. And it's designed to sync with all of that activity that just occurred in the smart building platform. So now I'm a facility technician on location, and I've received this event from my building support team with some instructions on what to do. So I'm going to go ahead and open up this lobby cooling failure issue that my building support team has built for me. I can see all the due dates and descriptions of what's occurring in this particular event. I can interact with all of the content that my building support team uploaded to this event, and even drill into the notes and the sensor details that were captured from my smart building tool. So without having to know how to build charts or interact with really complicated sensor data, I can at least see the result of my support team sending this to me on my mobile device. So I can see the alert conditions, I can see the chart that my support team used to find root cause, and I can even see the control tiles that were commanded by my support team to help me de-escalate this issue on site. You can also see that I have an open task. I need to go to this air handling unit and investigate the chilled water valve that we saw that had failed to a closed position. And of course, I can see all the notes that my building support team sent to me to help me understand the history on this particular event. So right away, I'm armed with really useful information on what I should do, where I should go, and what the priority of all this is, so that I can work this into my daily flow of maintenance activities I have to complete. Now, on the mobile device, I have a couple tools in my arsenal as well. So I've received some images from my support team, for example, but as I go and actually fix this on site, I might want to upload my own image back to my support team. So I can go ahead and take an image. In this case, I just grabbed a random thermostat that's in this conference room with me here, and I can upload that back into the event. So this allows me to engage with the building support team in a really seamless fashion and validate some of the work that's happening. Now, once I fix that chilled water valve, I need to also communicate back to the support team that the work is done and ready for them to validate. So I can go ahead and complete the task directly in the mobile app as well. So this is now a cue back to the support team to come validate the work. And of course, if I want to just send them a note, I can do that as well directly in the app. So really what we're creating here is a seamless interaction between subject matter experts who are engaging with technical smart building content, charts and sensor data, and really getting to the root cause of these issues. And a facility technician who's running around the building looking to basically interact with a to-do list, right? And this is what we can create by interacting between a smart building platform and a mobile device. So as we completed this task, my work as a facility technician is now done. Let's send this back to the support team and just see what kind of content we sent back to the smart building platform. So now I'm changing hats again. You can see we're back into the smart building platform here. I can see that my facility technician has sent me a verification that they fixed this issue at the site. I can see that image that they uploaded to validate that, yes, everything's good to go now. So now as my building support team looks at this latest event, we've checked off all the tasks, we've received this content back from the facility technician on site, and we can go ahead and resolve this event. So we've gone from root cause all the way to a resolved activity using a smart building platform, obviously with the goal that all of this happens without any tenants knowing that there was ever an issue in this building. And that really is what we're trying to shoot for by deploying smart building technologies. We had an entire software-enabled interaction with this activity, and the humans should never know that that occurred. So now we have our resolved event, and my technician can go on with their day and kind of address the next thing on their to-do list. So really what we're trying to do with this technology is, again, transition to that data-driven facility management mode where we have subject matter experts interacting with the technical content, and we have really tenant engaging technicians on the location who can focus on hospitality and focus on serving the clients in their buildings. And tools like this enable you to kind of divide and conquer and have the right people interacting with the technical content and the local people interacting with actual tenants in the building. When we go ahead and deploy these types of technologies, we're really looking to impact several things in the building. Energy is always top of the list for any client that we're working with. But additionally, we're looking to impact measurable things on the maintenance side of the building as well. So for example, if you are a retail client and you're deploying trucks to go fix issues in these buildings, we hope to see a reduction in the number of trucks you have to deploy. Because we have remote command and control capability, we should be able to avoid deploying trucks just to change schedules or command equipment on and off, for example. We also look to reduce the critical priority work orders on a building. So you saw me de-escalate this issue by commanding a piece of equipment off to avoid pushing that hot air into the space. That means we can de-escalate work orders, we can do this activity on normal business hours and avoid the costly critical priority work orders that occur in a building. The big one that we're also looking for is to reduce the actual complaints from the tenants in the building. So if you have a help desk ticketing platform where you're tracking the complaints for hot and cold spaces, we hope to see a reduction in that because we're now shifting the focus from the actual zone and the tenant complaints to the equipment serving those zones and tenants. So as your maintenance team starts to focus on those supply temperatures instead of the space temperatures, we should see tenants happy. We should see less complaints coming through on that help desk ticketing system. So all this leads to direct cost savings for the building, for the operating team. And we've already seen great success with this through really all customer classes, whether you're a retail client with 100 locations or a commercial real estate client with 20 very large locations. Really these tools still operate and can improve the way that you maintain the buildings. So with that, we're going to wrap up and leave plenty of time for questions. I think we've had just a couple come through that we can address. Just for any attendees that are kind of using this for the first time, there is a Q&A section of the Zoom account here that you can submit any additional questions to. But I think we have a couple that have come through that I'll just answer here, and we'll see if any else come through as I do that. So the first question we had was a question around how the app actually integrates with the BMS control systems, which is an excellent question. So we saw the building support team issue a command back to the building through the smart building platform. The question is, can the app do the same thing? So the Switch app currently is that piece of the app is in development. So we will have in the next quarter a release for control capabilities. So your technician can actually issue the same commands directly. That integration is typically enabled through standard BACnet control. So we can issue a BACnet command to any controller in the building, regardless of what BMS system is in place, to change set points, command the equipment on and off, or command components of that equipment like fans and valve positions to the desired states. So all that's enabled in most smart building platforms, including the switch automation platform. Another good question that we had come in is, if I summarize this correctly, basically an integration into how the app can integrate with work order platforms. So this is another good question. Something to think about when you're selecting a smart building platform is to think about not just the building system integrations, but also integrations to other platforms that you use to run your buildings. So if you have a work order platform in place and you're using that platform for preventative maintenance activities and on-demand maintenance activities, you should look for a platform that can sync with that existing work order tool that you have. So for our platform, we do that through API integrations as our preferred approach. And what that means is if a critical alert comes in from your smart building platform, that could automatically be triggering an on-demand work order in the system of choice that you might already have in place. So looking for those integrations early on is an important thing to have on your kind of checklist for evaluating smart building platforms. And finally, last question I have here is around basically what do the tenants interact with, or how does this app interface with a tenant platform? And again, this is a question that you should have on your evaluation checklist. So if you have a tenant app that allows you to submit complaints to, say, a help desk platform, that same integration option is really important. So if a tenant complains, that should automatically sync with your smart building platform, so you get an alert for your support team to go investigate. And vice versa, if you have a support team that's proactively looking at some of the equipment in the space, that should sync with your tenant platform so you know that issues are being dealt with in real time. So the more things that you can basically synchronize between your work order platform, your tenant platform, and your smart building platform, the easier it will be to seamlessly manage all these activities day to day in the site. So with that, if anyone on the webinar would like to follow up, we have all the contact information here on this final page. We have some great materials on the website that are available for download to help you get started on this journey. Things like evaluation roadmaps or case studies that you can interact with to understand how these tools can really impact your business. So if you have any follow-up questions, feel free to reach out to us directly. And with that, we'll close out this webinar and follow up with this recorded session to all attendees. Thank you very much. Enjoy the rest of your day.